returned to the Zen master and knelt before him, asking to become his disciple. This story beautifully illustrates the powerful connection between the purity of the mind and the way we perceive the world around us. The Zen master's wisdom was not just in his intellectual knowledge, but in the purity of his heart. When his heart is filled with compassion and clarity, his vision is clear and positive. On the other hand, the young man's harsh judgment of the Zen master was a reflection of his own mind, clouded by pride and negativity. This is a reminder that how we see others is often a reflection of the state of our own hearts. The more we cultivate a peaceful, compassionate, and clear mind, the more we are able to see the goodness in others and in the world around us. The lesson here is profound. Our external world is often shaped by the internal world we create. If we hold onto grudges, negativity, or pride, we may see the world through a lens of judgment and harshness. But if we cultivate qualities like love, compassion, and mindfulness, we begin to see beauty and goodness in everything. The Zen master's wisdom teaches us that the first step toward true peace is purifying our minds. By doing so, we can live a life free from judgment, filled with kindness, and attuned to the beauty in others. The young man's transformation is a powerful reminder that only when we purify our hearts can we truly understand the world in its most beautiful form. When we think of the Buddha's boundless compassion, we may often imagine him as a figure of profound wisdom who simply loves all beings, without greed, hatred, or delusion. These are qualities we associate with his enlightened nature. However, to understand the depth of his compassion, let's explore the following story. Around 2,600 years ago, during the time of the Buddha, he and his monks traveled to various villages to spread the Dharma and offer teachings to all beings. One day, after traveling for hours and having not received any food, the Buddha and his disciples were still without sustenance. One of the Buddha's senior disciples, frustrated by the situation, spoke up and said, "Master, it seems that the people in this village have no kindness in their hearts, and their attitudes are so stubborn. They look down upon us, and they even dislike us. If we stay here any longer, we will never be able to teach them, and we will not receive any food at all." The Buddha smiled gently and with great compassion. He asked his disciple, "A doctor can cure both minor and serious illnesses, but who would you rather be, one who can only treat minor ailments, or one who can cure both minor and serious conditions?" The disciple, eager to become a great healer, replied, "Master, I would wish to be the doctor who can treat both minor and serious ailments." "Exactly," the Buddha replied. "Our purpose here is to sow the seeds of compassion and goodness in the hearts of these people. Their selfishness is like a serious illness. They need our presence and guidance the most. Those who are already kind do not require as much of our attention right now. But these people, who are suffering from deep-rooted negativity, need our care and compassion to help them grow into loving, generous beings." As the Buddha spoke, some villagers who had overheard this conversation began to feel a shift in their hearts. They were moved by the compassion the Buddha had shown, and they realized the importance of generosity and kindness. They approached the Buddha and his disciples and offered them food, humbly bowing as they did so. This story beautifully reveals the Buddha's profound understanding of human nature and his limitless compassion. The Buddha does not give up on those who are stubborn or unkind. Instead, he sees their suffering and continues to offer teachings to help transform their hearts. It's a reminder that true compassion is not about only caring for those who are easy to love, but also about having the patience and understanding to help those who are difficult to reach. The Buddha's analogy of the doctor is powerful. Just as a doctor does not abandon a patient suffering from a serious illness, the Buddha encourages his followers to persist in their compassionate efforts, even when others seem resistant to change. The key takeaway here is that love and kindness should not be conditional. True compassion is offered without judgment and with the hope that others can heal and grow, regardless of how difficult it may seem. The Buddha's story teaches us that compassion is not just about being kind to those who are easy to love. It's about offering kindness to everyone, especially those who need it the most. In a world where we often encounter difficulty or resistance, it is easy to feel discouraged and give up on others. However, if we adopt the Buddha's approach, we can see through the barriers of ego and negative emotion to the suffering that underlies every individual's actions. By embodying compassion, we not only help others heal, but also cultivate peace and understanding in our own hearts. We must remember that every person, no matter how stubborn or unkind they may seem, is in need of love and understanding. The Buddha's teachings inspire us to never give up on others and to always offer our compassion and care. No matter the challenges, many of us wonder, how can we overcome selfishness, greed, anger, and even those sudden fits of irritation that seem to arise out of nowhere? The first step, according to the Buddha's teaching, is to recognize that these negative tendencies are a normal part of the human experience. Before the Buddha attained enlightenment, he was an ordinary person like you and me. The difference was that he had the courage to see these tendencies clearly within himself. Instead of denying or suppressing them, he acknowledged their existence. This deep understanding propelled him to search for a path to liberation, not just for himself, but for all beings. We've talked before about how every person is born with an inherently kind and pure heart. This means that anyone has the potential to become enlightened if they follow the teachings of the Buddha. So where do we begin? We start by observing our own minds, our thoughts, and our actions. When we notice our thoughts drifting toward negativity, that is the precise moment we must gently steer ourselves back on course. In Buddhist practice, this is known as mindfulness, a key principle in the Prajnaparamita Sutra, the perfection of wisdom. Let me share a simple yet profound example of how mindfulness can be practiced. A certain Zen master, despite his many years of spiritual practice, understood that greed, selfishness, and unwholesome thoughts could still creep into his mind. To stay vigilant, he always carried a string of prayer beads. Whenever a negative thought arose, he would immediately begin counting each bead, focusing his mind on this simple, repetitive action. He continued until the negative thought dissolved on its own. This technique of bringing attention back to the present moment is mindfulness in action. The moment we recognize an unwholesome thought, that recognition itself is mindfulness. When we consciously redirect our focus and calm the mind, we enter a state of concentration and mental clarity. This is what Buddhists call samadhi, or meditative absorption. The beautiful part of this practice is that there's no need to rush. There's no pressure to be perfect. Simply understanding this principle and applying it moment by moment is enough. The first time you might forget. The second time you might catch it late. But by the third, fourth, or fifth time it becomes more natural. Over time, your mind gently settles, and calmness takes root. What's remarkable is that, as you cultivate mindfulness regularly, you'll find yourself naturally more focused in all areas of life. Your mind becomes sharper, your decision-making clearer, and your intuition more refined. Even Zen masters didn't start with perfect control. They practiced patiently, failing and trying again. But once they achieved mental stillness, they could face any situation with calmness, clarity, and compassion. They didn't get angry easily, and they didn't let adversity shake their inner peace. This teaching reveals a universal truth. Mastery over our emotions isn't achieved overnight, it's a practice. The story of the Zen master with his prayer beads is a metaphor for the tools we can all use to bring ourselves back to balance. Whether it's counting beads, focusing on your breath, or any mindful practice, the key is to notice when the mind begins to stray and to bring it gently back. What's important is not to judge ourselves for having negative thoughts. Even enlightened beings had to face their inner struggles. The real strength lies in our awareness and our willingness to return to presence again and again. Ultimately, the path to peace of mind doesn't lie in trying to eliminate all negative emotions immediately, but in recognizing them with clarity and compassion. With consistent practice, we gain not just mental stillness, but a deep resilience that helps us navigate life's challenges with grace. Through mindfulness, we can transform our minds, sharpen our awareness, and rediscover the innate kindness that exists within us all. And with that, we find not just personal peace, but a way to bring light and understanding to others. The story of constant struggle and the need for mindfulness. In a certain ancient temple, a disciple sat beside the fire pit. The fire had long since extinguished, leaving only a pile of ashes. In front of the disciple stood a Zen master. Curious, the disciple asked, "Master, I see that you have spent many years in meditation and practice. You have cultivated a heart of compassion, clarity, and wisdom. Yet you continue to study the scriptures and meditate daily. I thought such practices were only for beginners like me." The Zen master looked at his disciple with understanding and asked, "Do you truly believe that? Now look closely at the ashes in the pit. Has the fire been completely extinguished?" The disciple confidently responded, "Yes, the fire went out last evening." The Zen master didn't immediately respond. Instead, he calmly approached the ashes and began sifting through them. He retrieved a glowing ember from the bottom of the pit and said, "My dear disciple, when you look on the surface, you may think I am complete, but deep within me, the embers of the ego still smolder. For this is the nature of being human. This is why I dedicate my life to practice to constantly be aware and mindful. Just as you breathe every moment, mindfulness should become as natural as eating or breathing. Like the saying in Dhammapada 233, just as a fire burns, whether it is large or small, it is still fire. Likewise, all actions, whether good or bad, are governed by the mind. The Buddha. The story of two sisters. In a family, there were two sisters with contrasting personalities. The younger sister was quick-witted and always striving to surpass others, never accepting the life she had. The older sister, on the other hand, had a kind and gentle nature and led a simple life. Because of their differences, the younger sister often thought of her older sibling as slow-witted and lacking the ambition to improve herself. The younger sister, with her sharp intelligence, quickly found a suitable husband, a successful businessman, handsome and talented. When they married, she felt incredibly happy and took pride in her good fortune, boasting to everyone around her. The older sister, happy for her sibling, congratulated her and wished her the best. However, after some time, the younger sister began to feel disappointed. Although she lived in a beautiful, lavish home and had everything materialistic she could want, her husband was often away on business, managing many companies and traveling frequently. She began to feel a deep loneliness and emotional neglect in her marriage. Despite her husband's outward success, she feared that his good looks and success might attract other women. Jealousy and insecurity grew in her heart. One day, she confided in her husband about her feelings of isolation. He replied that while he deeply loved her, his work required his attention. He explained that the wealth they had was the result of his hard work and sacrifices, and if he didn't focus on his career, they would not be able to maintain their luxurious lifestyle. After 2 years of this emotional struggle, the younger sister reached her breaking point. She could no longer tolerate the lack of intimacy and closeness in her marriage. She decided to have a serious conversation with her husband, saying, "I am willing to live without the material wealth we have now if it means I can be with you and have a closer, more loving relationship. If you are not willing to give up your career to spend more time with me, I will choose to divorce." In the end, the husband agreed, giving up his successful career to take a job closer to home, with a modest income. With his presence now constant, their relationship warmed, and the younger sister began to feel much happier as she received his daily affection and care. However, after 5 years, the situation changed. The husband's savings were depleted, and his new job didn't earn enough to cover the family's needs. They now had 3 children to support, and financial strain began to take its toll. Tensions rose, and the younger sister found herself complaining again. She realized that this was not the life she had envisioned. Though she had always thought of her older sister as naive and simple, she had no one else to confide in, so she turned to her. The older sister listened quietly, and then gave her a small amount of money, saying, "I may not be as clever as you, and I may not be as beautiful, but I have something that you are still seeking: peace and happiness. Why, despite having a rich, handsome husband, do you still feel unsatisfied? Why, after your husband gave up his career to be with you, do Do you still feel unfulfilled? As for me, my husband is ordinary. He is not rich or handsome, and he has no great achievements. But what we do have is love, understanding, and acceptance of each other. We know that less is more, and that contentment is true happiness. Upon hearing this, the younger sister realized that her unhappiness had never been about the lack of material possessions or affection from her husband. Her pain stemmed from never being content with what she had and always wanting more. Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "If you are lacking wood to boil water, instead of collecting more wood, try reducing the amount of water in your kettle." This story illustrates a powerful truth. The more we focus on what we don't have or desire more of, the more we lose sight of the joy that already exists in our lives. The younger sister's pursuit of material wealth and emotional validation led her to constantly seek something outside herself. Despite her outward success, she felt empty because she did not embrace contentment or appreciate the value of the present moment. The older sister, with her humble life, possessed a profound wisdom. She understood that true happiness comes not from external circumstances, but from within through acceptance, love, and a deep sense of peace. The younger sister's realization is a valuable reminder that when we are grateful for what we have and content with what life offers, we can experience a much deeper sense of fulfillment and inner peace. The true lesson here is that happiness does not lie in wealth, beauty, or the approval of others. It lies in cultivating an inner peace and being content with the simple joys of life. By learning to accept our circumstances, appreciate what we have, and embrace love and understanding, we open the door to true happiness. The younger sister's journey is a reflection of how we all can sometimes get caught in the pursuit of external validation, only to realize that what we seek has always been within us. Let us strive to cultivate simplicity, gratitude, and contentment in our lives. When we do so, we will find that happiness is not something to chase, but something to experience in each present moment. When is enough enough? Golden rays of the early morning sun bathed the rooftops of the cozy family home nestled on the edge of a quiet neighborhood. In the peaceful calm of the morning, the soft ringing of a bell from the nearby church echoed, signaling the start of a new day. In this home lived an elderly father, Mr. Thomas, who was known for his wisdom and simplicity. His two children, Ethan and little Charlie, lived with him. Ethan was a young, enthusiastic teenager, full of energy, while Charlie, the youngest, was a curious and observant boy with wide eyes that always seemed to be seeking answers to life's many questions. One morning, as the scent of freshly brewed coffee filled the house, little Charlie noticed something that puzzled him. Ethan and their father each had 6 fresh steamed buns on their plates, while Charlie only had 4. A feeling of unfairness bubbled up inside him. Why did Ethan get the same amount as Dad, while he, the youngest, got less? Charlie felt overlooked, as if he wasn't important enough to be treated the same. After some contemplation, Charlie decided to approach his father to express his feelings. Standing before Mr. Thomas, Charlie hesitantly spoke up. "Dad, could I have 6 buns too, like Ethan, Mr.?" Thomas smiled gently, his eyes twinkling with understanding. "Are you sure you want 6 buns, Charlie?" "Yes, I do," Charlie replied with determination, his voice filled with certainty. "Mister." Thomas handed Charlie the 2 extra buns, his gaze never leaving his son. Charlie eagerly ate all 6 buns, feeling an overwhelming sense of satisfaction. "See, Dad, I ate 6 buns just like Ethan. From now on, I want to have 6 buns every morning just like him." Mr. Thomas nodded thoughtfully. "All right, tomorrow you'll have 6 buns, but for now, why don't you try drinking a full cup of water?" Charlie, intrigued, followed his father's suggestion. As he drank, he soon began to feel uncomfortably full. His stomach started to tighten, and he felt a sense of discomfort. "Do you feel it now, Charlie?" Mr. Thomas asked softly. "Adding 2 more buns didn't make you any happier, did it? It only made you feel worse. Sometimes, having more doesn't bring more joy. It's important to appreciate what you have, rather than always comparing yourself to others." Charlie lowered his head, his father's words sinking deep into his mind. He realized that he had been wrong to compare himself with Ethan and to feel dissatisfied with what he already had. From that day on, Charlie no longer demanded more. He ate only what he needed and learned to be content with what he had, feeling happiness in simplicity. The story of Charlie and the 6 buns spread throughout the family, becoming a valuable lesson on contentment. In later conversations, Mr. Thomas would often share this story, reminding his children that true happiness doesn't come from having more, it comes from being content with what we have and appreciating the simple things in life. This story beautifully captures the universal lesson of contentment. Charlie's initial dissatisfaction and comparison to his brother reflect a common tendency in human nature, the belief that having more will lead to greater happiness. However, when Charlie experiences the discomfort of excess, he learns that true happiness isn't found in accumulating more, but in appreciating what is already enough. This story also highlights how children often look to the actions of others to determine their own worth or happiness. By learning to appreciate what he had, Charlie realized that contentment lies in the acceptance of what is present in our lives, rather than in the pursuit of more. The key message here is simple, yet profound. True happiness doesn't come from having more than others or striving for perfection, but from recognizing and appreciating the abundance that already exists in our lives. Just as Mr. Thomas taught Charlie, when we stop comparing ourselves to others and learn to be content with what we have, we can find peace and joy in the simplest things. In a world where it's easy to get caught up in the desire for more, this story serves as a gentle reminder that enough is often already right in front of us. Learning to appreciate and be content with the present moment can bring us the peace and happiness we seek. Japanese eating habits and food choices according to the principles of yin-yang and the 5 elements. In Japan, the art of eating and food selection is deeply rooted in a philosophy that embraces balance, harmony, and the interconnectedness of the body and mind. This approach is strongly influenced by the ancient Eastern principles of yin-yang and the 5 elements, Wu Xing, which view health as a dynamic balance between opposing forces and elemental energies within the body. The yin-yang principle emphasizes the balance between two opposing forces, yin cool, passive feminine, dark and yang warm, active masculine, bright. In Japanese cuisine, this is reflected in the choice of foods that either warm or cool the body, creating harmony within. For example, yang foods like ginger, onions, and garlic are used to add warmth to meals and stimulate energy, while yin foods like cucumbers, watermelon, and tofu are often used to cool the body and promote relaxation. These food choices are selected based on seasonal need during the hot summer months. Cooler foods like chilled noodles and fresh vegetables help prevent overheating, while in the colder winter months, foods like hot soups and stews provide warmth and comfort. The 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, water, another fundamental concept in traditional Eastern philosophy, also plays a significant role in food choices. Each element is associated with specific flavors, colors, and organs of the body. For instance, wood is connected with sour flavors and the liver. Foods such as green leafy vegetables, e.g. spinach, mustard greens, are believed to support liver function and detoxification. Fire corresponds with bitter flavors and the heart. Foods like bitter melon, dark chocolate, and coffee are thought to invigorate the heart and improve circulation. Earth is linked with sweet flavors and the stomach. Root vegetables like sweet potatoes, squash, and carrots are believed to nourish the digestive system. Metal is associated with pungent flavors and the lungs. Foods like onions, garlic, and white radishes are said to strengthen the respiratory system. Water corresponds with salty flavors and the kidneys. Seaweed, miso, and fish are typically consumed to support kidney health and maintain fluid balance. This method of choosing food is not just about physical health, but also about creating mental and spiritual well-being. The Japanese believe that by aligning the body's internal elements with the external world, they can maintain balance and peace. Meaning and significance of food choices in Japanese culture. The selection of foods in Japanese culture is deeply intertwined with the understanding of balance, not only for physical nourishment, but also for emotional and spiritual harmony. Every meal is considered an opportunity to restore balance within the body and soul. By consuming a variety of foods from different elements, individuals can ensure that their physical body is in harmony with their environment and internal energy systems. Japanese cuisine also emphasizes moderation and mindful eating. The practice of eating in small portions, savoring every bite, and being present during meals reflects the belief that true happiness comes not from overindulgence, but from appreciating the simplicity and richness of life in the moment. The Japanese art of kaiseki, a traditional multi-course meal, and the concept of washoku, traditional Japanese food, both celebrate the beauty of nature through the presentation of seasonal ingredients in a balanced and harmonious way. Connection to Buddhist spirituality. Interestingly, the principles of yin-yang and the 5 elements also have a significant connection to Buddhist teachings. In Buddhism, the idea of balance between the body, mind, and spirit is central to achieving inner peace and enlightenment. Buddhist monks, particularly in Japan, practice mindfulness in their eating habits, seeing food as not only nourishment, but as a means of cultivating awareness and mindfulness. Many Buddhist principles align with the practice of selecting foods that are pure, simple, and respectful of life. Vegetarianism is common in Buddhist cuisine, as it reflects the compassion and non-harming teachings of the Buddha. Foods such as rice, vegetables, and tofu are often prepared in a way that respects the natural energy of the ingredients, and the focus is on maintaining harmony between the food and the eater. Moreover, in the context of Zen Buddhism, meals are seen as a form of meditation, with each bite being a practice of mindfulness. This approach is deeply rooted in the belief that every action, whether eating, walking, or sitting, is an opportunity to practice the teachings of Buddha and to achieve a state of mindfulness and balance. The food choices and eating habits of the Japanese, guided by the principles of yin-yang and the five elements, not only promote physical health, but also serve as a reminder of the interconnectedness of all things. By selecting foods that balance the body's energy, the Japanese cultivate both physical well-being and spiritual harmony. These practices resonate deeply with Buddhist teachings, which emphasize balance, mindfulness, and compassion. Whether it's through the mindful preparation of food or the practice of moderation, the Japanese way of eating offers valuable lessons in how to nourish not only the body, but also the mind and spirit, leading to a life of balance, peace, and fulfillment. The surprising benefits of a plant-based diet. We all know that in ancient times, vegetarianism was primarily associated with certain religions, but in today's world, it has become increasingly popular across many countries, irrespective of religious background. So, what are the hidden benefits behind this trend? Let's take a closer look at the values it offers. 1. Plant-based diet benefits for digestion. The human digestive system, from our teeth structure to the stomach and intestines, is more suited for plant-based foods. If you observe your teeth, you'll notice they resemble those of herbivorous animals that primarily eat fruits, vegetables, and grass, rather than those of carnivorous animals. As for the stomach, the digestive juices and processes work more smoothly when we consume plant-based foods. Our intestines, too, are longer like those of herbivores and not as short as carnivores. Therefore, by adopting a plant-based diet over time, we often feel lighter and more energized. 2. Plant-based diet benefits for the nervous system and brain. Plants, by nature, are gentle and lack the complex nervous systems that animals have. This means that when we consume vegetables and fruits, we aren't ingesting the intense emotional energy or negative reactions that can arise from consuming animal products. Over time, eating plant-based foods can result in a calmer, more peaceful mind, reducing anger and fostering greater tolerance and forgiveness. 3. Reducing toxicity. Most plant-based foods are free of cholesterol, which is found abundantly in animal products. For example, wheat, oats, and rice contain no cholesterol. On the other hand, foods like beef 69 mg, chicken 86 mg, and eggs 372 mg are high in cholesterol. High cholesterol levels are linked to cardiovascular diseases and high blood pressure. Additionally, plant-based foods do not carry the same risk of transferring diseases to humans. Unlike animal products, which can be a source of zoonotic diseases. 4. Rich nutrients in plant-based foods. Plant-based foods are rich in essential nutrients that our body needs. For instance, the fiber content in foods like barley 17g, red beans 12g, and oats 10g is significantly higher than in animal products. Additionally, calcium is abundant in sesame seeds 975 mg, almonds 269 mg, and seaweed 150 mg, whereas cow's milk only contains 113 mg of calcium. When it comes to iron, pumpkin seeds 8 mg, soybeans 15 mg, and turmeric 55 mg contain much higher amounts than animal products like beef 2 mg or salmon 0.25 mg. These examples demonstrate that plant-based foods are a rich source of essential vitamins and minerals. As the ancient Greek mathematician Pythagoras said over 2,500 years ago, only fresh plant-based food has the ability to lead humans to understand the truth. The French naturalist Buffon also claimed that vegetarianism enhances one's prophetic abilities. Even Albert Einstein advocated for a vegetarian diet, stating, "Nothing is more beneficial to human health and longevity than a plant-based diet." What does vegetarianism mean in Buddhist teachings? In the time of the Buddha, he encouraged his followers to cultivate compassion for all living beings. One of the 5 precepts for lay Buddhists is to refrain from killing, which directly connects to the practice of vegetarianism. Therefore, a vegetarian lifestyle is not just a dietary choice, but also an ethical one that aligns with the first precept, to avoid harming any sentient being. However, it's important to note that Buddha did not teach that a vegetarian diet automatically makes someone virtuous, nor that non-vegetarians are inherently bad. What Buddha emphasized was that both our good and bad actions stem from our intentions. As the Dhammapada says, mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief. They are all mind-wrought. So before we act, our thoughts must be aligned with compassion and goodness, whether or not we follow a vegetarian diet. The key is to cultivate a mindset of kindness, so that when we see any being in pain or suffering, we feel compassion and wish for their well-being. If we are in a position to help, we should act without hesitation. The practice of eating plant-based foods not only offers tangible health benefits, but is also deeply connected to Buddhist ethics, emphasizing compassion and non-violence. The Buddhist teachings encourage us to cultivate a compassionate heart, which is reflected in our actions, including the food we choose to consume. Eating with the intention of reducing harm, whether through a plant-based diet or through any other act of kindness, helps us to align ourselves with the core teachings of Buddhism. As we reflect on these insights, we can see that the true essence of vegetarianism, both from a health perspective and a spiritual one, lies in the intention behind our choices. When we act with a pure heart, whether in what we eat or in how we treat others, we create a ripple of positivity and compassion that benefits not only ourselves, but all beings. Stay tuned for future videos where we will delve deeper into the connection between Buddhist teachings and a plant-based diet, exploring this vast and enriching topic even further. The importance of mindful eating for health and peace. At this point, you may be wondering, is it enough to simply choose healthy foods in order to ensure both a healthy body and a peaceful, compassionate mind? While food choices play a crucial role, there is another important aspect to consider: how we eat. Let me share with you a valuable practice: the art of chewing slowly and thoroughly. Modern science has confirmed that the pH level of saliva in our mouths ranges from 7 to 7.3, which is considered the ideal level for our body. Saliva is the first digestive fluid in the process of food digestion. When we chew properly, we help maximize the benefit of this natural fluid, which leads to more efficient digestion in the next stages. But saliva is only produced in sufficient amounts when we take the time to chew slowly and thoroughly, especially when eating grains and seeds. This is why people who have the habit of eating too quickly or rushing through their meals often suffer from digestive issues, including stomach pain. Another significant benefit of thorough chewing is that it helps break down tough, difficult to digest foods. If our teeth don't fulfill their role properly, then our stomachs must bear the extra responsibility of breaking down coarse food. Over time, if the stomach is forced to take on this burden repeatedly, it will become weakened from overwork. Therefore, chewing slowly and thoroughly is a simple yet essential action to protect our digestive system. What does this practice mean in Buddhist teachings? In Buddhism, the act of eating mindfully is deeply emphasized. As mentioned earlier, the Buddha often taught his disciples the importance of eating with full awareness, mindfulness. Before eating, one should sit comfortably and steadily, ensuring a calm and composed posture. Then, one should join hands in gratitude to the universe, the earth, and all the elements that have contributed to the creation of the food. We express gratitude for the plants, trees, and living beings that have given their lives for our nourishment. We then pray for the safety and happiness of all sentient beings and offer blessings for those who have offered food to us. When we cultivate compassion and gratitude through prayer before eating, the food is more likely to be absorbed in a way that nourishes both body and mind. This simple act of acknowledging the interconnectedness of all beings and the food we consume helps to prepare our hearts and minds for the meal. After the prayer and blessings, the actual eating process should be done with full mindfulness. Eating mindfully means being completely present during the meal, focusing solely on chewing and savoring each bite. We should choose our food with intention, eating one item at a time and avoiding a chaotic or rushed approach. As we eat, we should not let our minds wander to other thoughts. Finally, when we decide to stop eating, we should rise and not return to the meal. This mindful practice of eating not only aligns with Buddhist teachings, but also benefits us as ordinary individuals. By eating mindfully, with a calm and focused mind, and by choosing fewer foods to eat in a deliberate order, we are already showing kindness to our digestive system. In doing so, we also notice that even our breath becomes naturally steadier and more regulated. Eating with mindfulness and awareness not only contributes to our physical health, but also nurtures mental peace and compassion. In Buddhism, the act of eating is not just about nourishment, but also about cultivating gratitude and compassion for all beings involved in the process. Whether or not we follow a Buddhist lifestyle, practicing mindful eating can help create a more balanced and peaceful life. By slowing down, chewing thoroughly, and focusing on the present moment, we not only nourish our bodies, but also enhance our overall well-being. The wisdom of mindful eating is a powerful tool that can lead us to a healthier body, a calmer mind, and a more compassionate heart. Before we conclude this video, I truly hope that those of you who have stayed with us until the end will be able to apply the guidance shared here. My intention is for the time you've spent watching this video to bring you real, practical benefits. You don't need to worry about what religion you follow because the Buddhist teachings I've shared here are applicable to anyone. There is no distinction between nations, religions, skin colors, or social classes. We all share common human needs: the need for proper nourishment, the need to breathe in a healthy way, and the need for a peaceful, joyful heart and a happy family. Let go of the thoughts that cause suffering and hold onto the thoughts that bring peace and happiness. Thank you for watching this video on Buddhist teachings. I hope the insights shared today will inspire you to approach food with greater mindfulness and compassion. Remember, it's not just what we eat, but how we eat and the intention behind each meal that shapes our well-being. As you move forward, take these teachings into your daily life and let them guide you towards a healthier body, a clearer mind, and a more peaceful heart. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos that explore the wisdom of the Buddha. Until next time, may you be happy, may you be healthy, and may your heart be filled with peace and love. Take care and see you in the next video.